Hi, Alan Stratton from Woodturning. We live in a digital world. Everything seems to be going digital, but yet we use a lot of expressions that come from an analog world. Clockwise, counterclockwise, and as we talk to our children, how are they to know what clockwise means in a digital world? Oh, solution, we need to have some analog clocks in this world to help us still remember what clockwise, counterclockwise, and all these terms mean. So today, let's make a segmented clock base for our digital world.
Normally, for a segmented project, I start with a detailed plan with a drawing. For this project, I broke this rule. My plan was only in my head. I made 3 rings of red oak with 8 segments, each 2 larger and 1 smaller. I glued 2 rings face to face, 1 smaller and 1 larger for the base. The other will serve as the clock background with a walnut plug in the middle. I'm starting with the base mounted to a 4-jaw chuck. The smaller ring is against the chuck. I'm working the underside of the base first. I want to hollow it out a little bit to lighten it, but still leave enough to support the clock. I'll use a gouge to hollow it. With the base hollowed, I'll cut a shallow mortise on the underside to use shortly to reverse mount the base. Since I don't have a square scraper, I'll use a square carbide cutter. Finally, I'll clean up the underside just a little bit with a round nose scraper and touch it just a little with sandpaper before finishing with beeswax and mineral oil. Now I'll reverse mount the base onto the chuck in expansion mode into the mortise I cut earlier. I'll use my gouge to cut a placing shape with a bead on the bottom. I'll clean up the concave section with a round nose scraper and the convex section with my skew as a scraper. Finally, the base looks a little plain, so while I have the skew in hand, I'll cut a bead at the bottom. Next, I'll stand up through the grits and finish the exterior of the base. Now for the clock face background. I'll start with the face and a mortise for the clock movement. Using a gouge, I'll remove most of the interior of the mortise. Then switch to a square carbide cutter to refine and fit the mortise to the clock movement. This is the usual cut and test, repeat, repeat, repeat until it fits. Then reverse mount the clock background on the jaws in expansion mode using the movement mortise. Here I had the idea for a nice ogee shape using the solid exterior for most of the ogee. Now sand and finish the background. Now I just need to drill a hole so the 2 pieces can mount together. Here's where a plan would have paid off. My wood is too thin for the hole I want and my face background breaks. Now I'm under the gun and out of time. I cannot glue it together again, so I'll make a new segment ring. Off to the miter saw to cut the segments. Then glue them together. I had tuned up my chop saw setup and my angles are much closer. So I'll glue this ring up all at once, skipping the half ring glue up procedure. I need the glue to dry overnight and it's getting dark. This has to work. Now I'll rush the process just a little. Since the chuck is compressing the ring, I'll take the chance that the ring will hold together while I drill out the center of the walnut plug. It worked. I'll quickly prepare a walnut plug and glue it into the ring before taking the rest of the evening off. Following the same process as the first time, I'll cut a mortise for the clock movement. This time, I'll drill the hole while my segment ring still has square corners. I just wish I had a drill press here on location. With the mortise cut, I'll again reverse mount the piece using the mortise and chuck in expansion mode. I'll leave it heavier this time. And sand and finish the new top piece. Originally, I was just going to use a dowel between the two pieces, but I changed my mind and grabbed a piece of scrap cherry. I'll make a simple spindle, somewhat mirrored one end to the other with a tenon on both ends. After rounding with a gouge, this is ideal skew territory, using a peeling cut for stock removal, then refining it with the skew in cutting mode. Put it all together, and I have a desktop clock to remind me which way is clockwise and which way is counterclockwise. But I'm disappointed in my clock movement because the hands will not pass each other. The big hand seems to be bent up. I'll return that movement and get another that keeps time. This clock is only right twice a day, and I need more than that. Here's a thought. Segmented wood turning is to solid wood turning as digital is to analog. What do you think? Please click the like button on this video and subscribe to both my website and YouTube channel. Always wear your face shield unless that big bruise on your cheek feels great. Until next time, this is Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns.